I'm excited to bring you a new video today where we dive into some awesome topics around choice, choosing the hard versus the soft way, how to understand that our mistakes can actually make us stronger when we learn from them, learn how to take feedback, even when it seems negative, turning that into a positive for yourself, overcoming your fear, justification, defensive reactions, and learning the value of failing fast to grow faster, learning how to let go of those negative voices that try to live in our heads, prioritizing our training over our potential, changing our perspective to see more solutions and opportunities, embracing the power of acceptance and as an effective problem solver, and remembering that you're not broken. You're made perfect as you are. Just trust in the process.
So, something I don't talk a lot is the refining process of hard things in life. And I'll share some of mine just as a point of connection. There's this saying that says, like, how do you boil a frog? And it's kind of a gross analogy, but you put a frog in cold water and you turn the temperature up slowly, and before you know it, the frog is boiled. It doesn't realize or notice the subtle shifts in the temperature of the water increasing, and it ends up dying in there. I think life can feel like that. I know for me, having had some really rough years the last decade, it's felt like that. I've used that analogy with parenting, with marriage, with personal health struggles. It's like you get into it, you stay into it long enough, there's just no way you're getting out of the pot. And you end up boiled and you feel beat up a little bit. Now there's a pairing analogy that goes with this that I think can help it not be such a dark thing and maybe be a good thing. The other one of this is like, if you take a hard carrot and you put it in boiling water and you leave it in there long enough, it will be softened. If you take a soft egg and you put it in boiling water and you leave it in there long enough, it'll be hardened. The water is the same. Life circumstances, hardship, trials, difficulty in parenting, difficulty in relationships, that doesn't change. What happens to us does change. For me, that requires a perspective and allowing humility to be part of my process. Across all spiritual traditions, religions, humility is valued as one of the highest of all the virtues. Yet it's one of the most difficult ones to get your hands on and really understand, because as soon as you think you're humble, you're probably not humble anymore. So it's a process of trusting that your higher power has something good and planned and stored for you, regardless of the boiling water. Whatever that is, that hardship in the moment, it can be really tempting to be negative, to blame, to assume the role of the victim. And I've done that plenty of times. You can also look at it as a learning experience. One of the greatest teachers I've ever met, Kay Beck, special needs teacher, helped raise my son in special needs programs, helped him immensely, and I'm forever indebted to her. She talks about this often. She says, there are no mistakes unless you don't learn from them. There are only learning experiences. So when that water is boiling hot and you've been in it too long, what can you learn from it? How can you soften your heart and be teachable, be humble, be willing to accept correction? In today's world, people are very, not all people, but a lot of people are really hard to get them to a place where they accept feedback. It's almost like they take the feedback word and say, oh, that's just criticism. And perhaps if you're wearing the lens of people are always criticizing me and you're not willing to accept the feedback, it's going to feel that way. That's that the boiling waters made you hard. And that happens. Like, sometimes people will give you feedback that isn't really relevant and it isn't even wanted. But sometimes they're just trying to love you and they can see where you have gaps that you're not aware of. It's like a horse. It's going down a busy street and it's pulling people in a wagon. They put these blinders on the sides of the horse's eyes, not to be cruel, but to allow the horse to focus in on the path right in front. But what that does is it creates a clear path forward, but the horse cannot see anything from the sides or pay attention to the noises that are coming from the sides. So if there is some information from the sides, a car is coming, or another horse is coming, the driver has the view and slow the horse down, protect the carriage, protect the horse, and the driver can focus on the peripherals while the horse can focus on the front. So if we can see our feedback as the people who care about us, people in our lives that are supporting us, they're our peripheral vision. They can say, hey, there's a cliff there. There's something dangerous there. But if we immediately go to hold our blinders up, no, I got this. I don't want your support. I don't need your feedback. I don't need your criticism. Well, then you've chosen to go the hard way. Now, we say those words, hard and soft, interchangeably. I'm going to go the hard way. Some lessons I can only learn the hard way, the hard-boiled egg way, or the boiled frog way. So typically, that means the opposite of humility, which in this case isn't just not humility, it's probably pride and some arrogance and some selfishness. I'll figure this out on my own. I don't need you. And I say this because I've been this many, many times. This isn't something I've definitely been a slow learner. And I more often than not choose the hard way. But we can kind of pull ourselves out and look down on the Jared or whoever you are. Look down on yourself and say, all right, if I'm the horse carriage driver now I can see both sides. What can someone help me see? And I like to look at the book, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. This is one of the most powerful books I've ever read, and it's one of those that still kind of sits in the back of my mind is, am I willing to do some of those success principles? Am I willing to engage in them? But he says, you need to be able to ask people in your life for critical feedback. You need to go ask them. He says, start small. If you start too big, you're going to scare yourself. And you won't want their feedback. But the people in your life already around you know a great deal of information about you that you have either been unwilling to see or you haven't been ready to receive it. So instead, you've maybe stayed in a state of like the flower that won't open up. It's like, if I ever open up, my petals are going to show, and eventually my petals are going to fall off, and it's all over. Or the elements, the wind, the rain, whatever can ruin my petals. So I'm going to keep it tight. But the seasons start changing around you anyway, and the cold is coming, and it's going to freeze you, and your flower is going to die without ever opening up, without ever getting to see the sun fully, or feel the rain, or feel the breeze, or give off a scent. That will ever happen. That fear of failure prevents the maturation because life continues on. The seasons continue to happen. So if you're willing to start small, go to someone you love and say, can you give me like one thing that I could do better that you're aware of? And most people, according to Jack Canfield's book, I've practiced this, I've seen it firsthand, they're reluctant to give you that one thing because they know you're sensitive, or they know in the past they've given you some feedback and they've gotten burned, or they've kept to themselves because you're just not quite allowed to have that kind of communication or that type of a genuine relationship with that person, probably because you haven't allowed it. So start small. If that person loves you enough, they'll give you something simple. It might be something like, if you wear your hair a little different on your next video, Jared, you might attract a more professional audience. Or if you clean up your beard, people might think of you a little bit more as a respectable person. And my gut might be like, oh, I can bond with anybody. I can look shabby. I can wear my workout clothes. I don't need a suit. I don't need to look that nice. So all that stuff kind of comes up. The initial responses, call them our defense mechanisms that justify where we're at and our mentality. And then the dust kind of settles. And I can choose to take that feedback and apply some research, or I'm going to apply some of these suggestions and see if they help. And if they don't, they don't. Or I can choose not to apply them and move on. Maybe I go seek feedback from other sources too. However, if I do choose to take that feedback, I work on it. I clean up my beard, I'm a little less shabby, whatever that is, whatever that feedback is to you, and you work on that for a period of time. Let's call it a month. And you notice that there's something changing. Like, that seems like it's more professional. It seems like things are a little better. I feel a little more confident. Then I realize I'm not as shabby. And I go back and I send the new product over to this person, ask feedback for, what do you think of the difference? Does it feel better? What will happen for Jack Canfield is they'll see that you're actually applying the feedback they gave you. It'll make them excited. And they'll want to give you more. So now you might say, can you give me 2 things that you're seeing? And they might fire back with 2 more things. Well, there's a couple other things I noticed. This, and this. And then again, that same response system of defensiveness, justification, the anti-humility will come up. And whatever that thing is. And you have to be willing to look at it, come out of it, take off the blinders, see more angles, apply, practice, and see. That refinement process starts to grow. And the success principles, the more comfortable you become with seeking feedback, running it through a lens that challenges the defensiveness, challenges the justifications, run it through a lens that says, I love feedback. Bring it. I love it. I want to get better. I want to make more mistakes fast. The term for that is I fail fast. So if you can fail fast, you can learn quick. That's how we actually learn. Is by taking chances, trying things, trying to evolve, get feedback. But if we're always afraid, waiting for that finished product to be done, we're not going to get very far. So in business terms, you might call that the minimum viable product. What's your personal minimum viable product in whatever area you're trying to approach? For me right now, it's making these kind of videos as a journal entry for my family, for my friends, for people that are in a similar place to me, trying to grow and develop in their relationships, people who want to be better husbands, better spouses, better fathers, better friends, better business, better life, people who want to have a simpler life with less clutter. So I'm willing to take criticism. I'm willing to take feedback. I'm willing to look stupid if that's what's required. Because that's just feedback. I'm willing to learn some new skills. So, how do you receive feedback? Do you receive it with a lot of energy, a lot of negativity? Is there a voice that just says, you're a bad dude, or you're a bad person when you get feedback? That voice isn't yours. I challenge you to think about that. Our voice, the one that we're born with, the one we have, it's not really that negative. It's really not that put down. It doesn't put you down. But the impressions of a society we live in, the impressions of culture, expectations, maybe our parents' expectations of us, our grandparents, people in our lives, maybe even the views of people we don't even know. As we look on the internet we see people's A+ lives, when we start to compare ourselves to them, maybe all those things have created a voice that surrounds you and says, you're not good enough, you're not attractive enough, you're not smart enough, why do you dare try to go above and beyond? Maybe that voice is actually a collection of voices that has become a demonic influence in your life. One that destroys, breaks down, kills self-worth, kills self-esteem. And then you can respond with hardness. Well, if that will work, then nothing works. Or you can respond with softness. Be that carrot. Well, how can I learn to like it? How can I learn to accept it? And not be so hard on myself, but willing to receive and grow and learn. I would say this. Think of the reasons why. Why would those voices want to put you down? Why would you want to put yourself down? There is potentially a big agenda out there that wants you to fail, but there's probably a bigger agenda in you that just isn't willing to do the work to succeed. That we will live up to the level of our training. If we train our minds, train our thoughts, we train our bodies, we will measure up to that training. We have a high potential. We're not gonna reach that potential unless we train. Now, we can talk potential all day. I wish I was smarter. I wish I was better looking. I wish I had more money. I wish I had more friends. I wish I had a wife. I wish I had kids. And that gap between training and potential can create a lot of depression, anxiety, or another big word, cognitive dissonance, where we have such a gap that we don't really know what reality is anymore. Well, the simple thing is, reality is here. It's where you've trained. So if you keep getting stalked by your potential and all the negative voices around your potential saying, well, you're too late. You should have gone to school. You should have had better grades. You should have been smarter. You should have done more. You should have should your pants. Stop shooting your pants. Let go of the potential. Focus on the training. And get feedback between here and there. Your potential is where the feedback's at. Your training goes up as you get that feedback. So I learn and I grow. And my potential comes closer. I learn and I grow. I learn and I grow. And it's that simple step by step. We talk about it a lot. Precept upon precept, brick by brick, we make it stick. 1%, we grow. We grow, and we grow, and we grow. And you rise. So when I'm having a rough day, or I'm having a rough week, month, year, decade, I can choose to change my lens. I can go negative fast. Most humans lean towards negativity. I don't know why our biology does that. There's probably some great science behind it. But we lean towards negativity over positivity. And some people call it being real. Or realism and optimism don't really go well together. I have to believe that my higher power, the highest good in my life, cares about me and has a plan for me and my loved ones. And my higher power loves me enough to let me struggle and suffer. Because that's where I learn to change and grow and refine and do better. My family, to yours, we have our things. When you get to know anyone, you start to realize that everyone has something really hard they're going through. A good friend of mine told me once, if he could put all of his problems in a pile, with all the people in his life, they put their problems in a pile, and you really got to start looking at all those problems and understand them, whose problems would you pick? You might think initially, I would never pick mine. But when you really understand it, you're intimately connected to your problems. And there's a lesson there that if you learn, you automatically grow. Somebody else's problems, they're not going to do that for you. Not in the same way. So my good friend, he would say, at the end of the day, I pick up my own problems. I've been working on them, I'll keep working on them. And I'll change my lens towards humility, acceptance, a greater plan, purpose, a creator, a universe, a higher power that loves me, that doesn't make broken things. My higher power didn't make me broken. And I'm not broken. But I might be disconnected. I might be that pane of glass that's been cracked. I've been dropped. I've been a little bit shattered. But when I start putting those panes of glasses back up, and I start filling in the cracks with my gold and my silver, and I start painting my glass with life's experiences, where sometimes it's beautiful in color, sometimes it's dull and dark, sometimes it's shiny, sometimes it's not. I start to form a mosaic with my life. That when the light hits that window of my life, beauty is cast upon the ground, upon me. But it just would not exist if I didn't pick up those pieces and take them to my higher power, and take them to my friends and my family, my loved ones, and say, how can I improve this? How can I change? And when we include people in our lives, they include their pieces too. And they give us a piece of them. And we give us a piece of us ourselves to them. And as they make their mosaic, it has a little bit of you in it. And as I make mine, I have a little bit of you. You have a little bit of me. And that forms a beautiful mosaic. And when you zoom out, it's beautiful. The tapestry of life is beautiful. But when you're hyper-focused on that one pane of glass and all you can see is what's in front of you, it's difficult to know that you're loved, and that you're special, and that you're important, and that you are part of a greater plan, regardless of the great difficulties that are happening in your life today. Regardless of what seems incredibly hurtful, harmful, or impassive. Perspective, time, humility, willingness to hope for a better life, making little changes, turning your heart over to prayer are just little differences. I love my family, all of them, even the ones that are being punks, because I'm a punk too. Even the ones that are being great, because I can be great too. It doesn't matter. So just kind of in summary, you got to choose how you want to respond to the things that are hard in your life. A path of humility requires being willing to take feedback, see things differently, be open-minded, or a path of pride, which is learning the hard way, the hard-boiled egg way, or the boiled frog way. Both can lead to same results, but the journey there can be much more pleasant. You don't have to go through some of those things or have to see them firsthand when you're willing to accept feedback. Thank you for listening. I appreciate these times on the bike, and I also kind of space out when I'm riding the bike, so I get a little extra workout done. So thanks for that. Have a good day, and hopefully you found something valuable here you can share with someone and help uplift someone else's life today.